Hello there, ladies and gents. It is I, Mr. Emo Raccoon, back again with another video on the channel, where today I would like to go ahead and start a discussion topic with you guys. Which, if you read the title, you already know what this video is going to be about, but more or less, I wanted to talk briefly about Rockstar and the current state of GTA Online. And I thought I would voice my opinion on GTA Online, specifically on the topic of Rockstar when it comes to updating their games. Now, before you start writing a comment or anything like that, I'd like to quickly state, number one, this is not a direct rant at the Los Santos Drug Wars DLC. But this is, however, directly correspondent to how, in my opinion, lackluster the update was. Or at the very least, how poor, I guess, Rockstar's idea of releasing this update was. For those that don't know, and to an extent my estimations could be wrong, so I apologize if they are, a good 70 to 80% of this DLC is locked behind drip fade, which made a lot of people, including me, feel like this update was not as, more or less, big as we wanted it to be, considering the fact that December for GTA Online has always been the hype month for the game. It's always been the biggest update, per se, after all the years of updates that we've had. Whereas the summertime is usually, at least as it seems now, our quality of life updates. The updates that kind of hold us over during the, halfway point in the year. And is more or less meant to make people, kind of hop back on the game while we wait for the upcoming DLC in the wintertime. And apologies real quick, I just have a little bit of a gastrointestinal problem, so I apologize if I burp mid-recording. But something that kind of struck me the other day is we're nearing the end of 2022. As of recording this, I believe we are about a week away from the chapter closing, from the book's final page falling over, and we get to close that hardcover on 2022. And without going in depth of how good or bad the year was, I think we can all kind of agree this year was kind of just blah, more or less. It wasn't really like that nice, but that's not what we're here for. Again, back on the topic of Rockstar and updating GTA Online, in my opinion, I kind of want Rockstar to stop updating GTA Online. Are they going to stop updating GTA Online anytime soon? Probably not. The biggest reason why they won't, stop updating the game is just because of the fact that GTA 6 has yet to be announced or released. And at this current moment, GTA Online, for lack of a better wording, is basically Rockstar's cash cow. They can milk this game as hard as they want, and they will end up making money off of it. Because people like me will come back to play the game. Not people like me to buy shark cards, because, I already have too much money in the game. I do not need to buy shark cards. But when an update comes around, there will be people who don't have enough money, in-game to do this, so they'll just go ahead and buy a shark card. And I'm not shaming those people. You do whatever you want with your money. But again, while I'm speaking on this topic of Rockstar and them not having a clue what they want to do with GTA, what I mean by them not having a clue with what they want to do with GTA is just, where does GTA Online go from here? Because, in my opinion, this kind of an update is essentially the definition of, let's bring some story mode characters into online without really bringing out the world's greatest update. And a lot of you will say, well, the game's been out for 9 years, so what more can they do? And that's the point that I'm trying to bring, is that I think Rockstar has done enough, or they've essentially done all that they really can do in terms of originality for GTA Online. And the problem with saying that they're not doing anything original anymore is, even if an idea is original, it doesn't mean that people are going to instantly hop back on the game to play it. There's also, and the biggest instance of this is when Rockstar were putting stuff like weaponized vehicles, something that every player wants, even if they don't necessarily need it. They were putting, like weaponized vehicles in DLCs that weaponized vehicles didn't belong. The easiest and most controversial example of this was when they added the Oppressor Mark II into the After Hours DLC 4 years ago. Also known as adding a futuristic, weaponized vehicle into a nightclub DLC. Why in the world do we need that? You know, like, why do we need a futuristic weaponized vehicle, number one, in the first place, but why do we need it in a nightclub DLC? You know, the DLC by itself was already good enough. You know, why do we need something like this just to, you know, more or less hold people over? And that's an extreme example in and of itself, because nightclubs at that point hadn't been done in the game. It's not even just like it was an obvious winning attempt to get people to play the game. It was just more or less, here, people like weaponized vehicles, let's just add them in just because we can. That's necessarily what it was. It wasn't like a last resort, more or less, to get people interested. Compared to, you know, updates that, for example, will add enticing stuff just to keep people aroused. Like, for example, the biggest thing with the Contract DLC last year was just the fact that they brought Franklin back. But do you really hear people talking about going on extensive, you know, replays of the Dr. Dre storyline, you know, despite the fact that it gives you $1 million if you do it? No, you don't. Because it's not necessarily a good money-making method. If you want to, for example, you know, kind of change the game up and, you know, play a different way, then yeah, you'll do that every now and again just to get money. But you're not going to make it your main money-making source, so why would you do it? But I'm getting a little off track here. But again, to get back on what I was talking about before, what more can Rockstar really do that will hold people over? I would like to honestly know, especially from people who watch this video, if you have any other ideas of stuff that they could add to GTA that would get players interested. Because here's the thing, I only have one idea for an update that I think people would actually be happy about. And that is some type of naval update. Because we have not explored GTA Online's oceans at all, in terms of adding vast new arrays of content to it. Because as it currently stands, GTA Online's oceans are the definition of, there's a secret, we'll go look at that secret, and then we'll never look at it again unless it gets brought up in discussion. Like, for example, if you play GTA Online and you have explored most, if not everything, you've probably gone to the underground, like, you know, UFOs that are there. But tell me this, how many times have you actually gone back to that UFO and looked at it multiple times? I guarantee that probably less than 1% of you will say, I've been to it more than 3 times. And that's just because it takes a while to get out there, and when you're out there, there's not much to do. But think about it like this. If you add stuff like a naval update to get people going out into the ocean, such as an area where you can customize watercrafts and things like that, I feel like a lot of people would actually be pretty happy with that. Now again, I'm not the player base, I'm not Rockstar, I don't know all the statistics, it's more or less just my opinion. But again, I feel that that's really the last original thing they could do, because even though I like Rockstar, I love GTA, and I actually do like playing all their updates, I don't want to have another, for example, heist DLC to kind of keep the players interested, because at that point, it just kind of feels like lazy updates. I'm not mad with any of the heist DLCs we've gotten in the game, but there's not really more you can explore in the heist variety that isn't either increasing the payout or just making another solo heist, because each heist, in my opinion, in the game has something that makes it special. The original heists, well, that's their definition. They were the original heists that were added into the game, but there's some negative qualities. You need 4 players to do them. Doomsday heists were essentially the second part or reboot of those heists to get players, you know, getting back with their team. But this time, you don't need 4 people. You can do them with only 2. But they were also controversial for adding prep missions and then setup missions on top of that, so not a lot of people play them. Especially because the payouts, nowadays, compared to other stuff in GTA Online, are kind of lackluster for all the work you gotta do. Then Casino Heist came out and more or less changed everything, because it added different routes, different approach options, and the ability to customize your own crew, the vehicles you get away in, to attack one thing. So that automatically made it unique, and for a while it was the best money-making method. And then you have Cayo Perico, which adds all of what the original casino heist added, but toned down the prep missions and allowed you to play the heist solo, which had never been done in an update before. So that automatically made it the best heist in a lot of people's opinions, just because, well, the prep missions were very easy to do, and you only needed one person. And like I mentioned before, I don't want to have another heist, DLC in this game added just to hold us over. I would be very appreciative if they did it. Don't get me wrong. Any kind of content that Rockstar wants to add, I'm very appreciative to it. I'll be critical of it if a majority of the players don't like it, and I could point out flaws and stuff that I like in updates and stuff like that. But at the same time, I really think that Rockstar have essentially hit the end of the road when it comes to originality in stuff that people will like in GTA Online, because here's two factors to make people think that it's a good update. Number one, does it make a decent, or if not the best amount of money per hour in the game, and or does it have weaponized vehicles? And that's essentially the driving force behind updates now. And a lot of people were calling this update bad with the Acid Lab before they even got the upgrades to learn that, while it's not the best business in the game, it certainly does have a lot of stuff that make it, its own unique thing, and also make it an update that, again, while it's, copying original stuff, or not original, but it's, copying from previous updates, it has its own qualities that make it unique. For example, this is one of the only updates, well, this is the only business in the game at this moment where you can just call a contact to buy supplies directly for the business. For every other business, you would have to manually go to each one or go to a master control terminal to get supplies for them. You can't just call them up on the phone, which I'd like to quickly add, Rockstar, why did you not make LJT, a feature where you can just buy supplies for all your businesses at once? But that's okay. I'll criticize them about that another day. But like I said, a lot of people were really, or not even just disappointed, but kind of just, well, not angry, sorry. They weren't angry, but they were just a little disappointed with this update because a lot of them thought that the Acid Lab was pointless. And the main reason why is because it's essentially a starter business that can be afforded for nothing. When you complete all of those first dose missions that are currently in the game, all 6 of them, the payment you get in those missions is almost, if not pretty much perfectly enough to buy the Acid Lab at $250,000. And then all you would need to do is do those 10 DAX missions, buy your Acid Lab upgrade, and then any other additional money you want to make, upgrade your Brigade 6x6, and then you're good. But the problem with it is, what does it leave for, veteran players, more or less? It's good that Rockstar, are able to make updates that, are good for the new players in terms of them being able to buy everything. But where's the, stuff for the veteran players like me, who have been playing for a long time and kind of have money to blow? Because for me, at least, I'm not a very big car guy. I can make my vehicles look good in the game, but I also don't want to have, a majority of vehicles have the same color, because you can only put purple or green or yellow on so many cars for so long. And even at this current moment, with having however many garages it is, I think it's 24, I could be wrong, and over 200 car slots, if we do a quick glance, sorry, let me get down here so you can actually see. If we do a quick glance of, just my garages by itself, while they're decently organized, you'll notice that there's a lot of, empty space. Let me return my vehicle to storage so I can actually call it, because for some reason I can't call my vehicle. I don't know why. Okay, there we go. But you'll notice that I have a lot of, vacant garages, or even just garages that don't have a lot of stuff in them. I mean, even Office Garage 2 only has 2 vehicles. Office Garage 1 has nothing. And, you'll go down here, my auto shop doesn't have anything, my arcade doesn't have anything, the penthouse doesn't have a single thing, only one arena workshop with vehicles, only one, nightclub with vehicles, which I can easily take these cars out and put them in one of these garages up here if I wanted to. But you'll notice that, while a majority of these garages are filled up, they also either don't have a lot in them, or there's just no reason to have them. 24 slots and a car apiece, essentially. I don't have much else, to really put there. That's about it, And like I said, I do like the car community in GTA. I'm not going to say I don't, but I don't want to have the only content for veteran people to kind of waste their money on is cars, because you get to a point where you're just replicating the same car and changing it aesthetically when it comes to like supercars, for example. And then there's also there's also the other variable where it's like, what if you're not a racer and you're just buying these cars because you like them aesthetically? But again, how many times can you put the same color on a car before it gets repetitive? And to an extent, that's a vague argument, but it's just a point I thought I would like to bring up to you guys. I think that's everything I wanted to go ahead and say in this video. There might be some points that I didn't touch on or I briefly mentioned, and if you guys still do have questions, I will, make sure to answer them in the comment section down below with my own opinion. And feel free to put your own opinions in the comments of either updates that you think Rockstar could still do, or even just updates in your opinion that you would like to see, or, just whether or not you disagree with this video, because I know a lot of people will disagree with this video. To which, if you do, I would love to hear your guys' opinions, because I would like to see what you guys have to say, not just me speaking my mind on it. But again, I'll stop, with my little ramble at the end here. I appreciate any and everyone who ended up watching this video, especially made it to the end. And for those that do, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I am out.